Hey guys, this is episode 1 of my Let's Build an Adventure Game series. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and know what and like assume that you guys know what a cube is. Let's draw a cube. That's a cube. Cool. Now I'm no expert at drawing, but every time like here, let's change colour to something more obvious. This here, where it joins, is a vertex. So the corner is a vertex. Every quad, which is if it's a cube, is just 4 vertices. The way you can imagine a cube, if you want to do it for our purposes, you imagine a cube like one quad, one quad, one quad, one quad, one quad, one quad. Now, for blocks that are all equilateral shapes, that's fine. The problem arises when you have quads that are when you have shapes that aren't perfectly square. For example, if you had stairs, my drawing skills are not amazing, I'm sorry. If you had stairs, for example, or you had a pillar. Now, the code I'm going to write to tackle this issue is going to assume, and I probably shouldn't assume, that every block is every block contains 32 by 32. No, that's a by 32 blocks features. Now the reason why I'm doing this now is so that if I had a shape like, let's give a shape. If I had if it was like a Minecraft world, for example, when you had something like a cauldron or like a chair, right? Let's make a chair. Not so bad drawing of a chair, but never mind. Imagine this chair, and it's got a hole here. There's holes on this side. There's holes on this side. And you can see for the top of the headrest. Works out the chair. I want to be able to tell the code that, hey, some of these blocks are going to be hollow, and I'm going to see through them. This is mostly important when you're dealing with shapes that aren't cubed. Obviously, if they're all cubes, then you can just calculate the vertices that you need to make the cube. So, for example, for example, if you've got a cube that is perfectly square, you've got four vertices per corner. If you then split it up into 32 sections by 32 sections, and the x and the y, you've got lots of different vertices. But because you can then just remove the ones you don't want from the calculation, so you could, in principle at least, I've already went out of doing this in the code, is if you want all of them to be perfectly square, and you want all of the vertices to be perfectly square, then you could, if I know that this block here is solid, I know that this block here is solid, then this wall here can go away, which will make these two the same, these two one side, and that's fine. The smartest way of doing this would be to use a list of the 3D array and save that as a object, and then save that as a block type. So for example, in Minecraft, you've got slabs, 4 blocks, stairs. I can't draw this in my life, and you've got some doors, buttons, and similar shaped objects. Now, one of my pet peeves about Minecraft actually is the fact that you may have, if you have a slab like this, you could have a slab like this, or you could have stairs of any material, you could have blocks of any material, you could have a door of any material. That's probably it's a small gripe, but I mean, I don't understand why you really can't say, oh, it's a door, I'm going to make it out of, what material do you want it out of? You know, you could just do it that way. This is the first video of my series, and the reason why I'm using paint is so that you can see the reasoning behind my theory. I'm deliberately doing it with multiple shaped blocks in mind. The reason for this is so that the mathematics behind chunks is based upon blocks, so that I don't have to worry about anything else. Because if I know that all models are going to fit into this bounding box, it doesn't matter what I put in here. So long as I know that there's nothing touching. If there's nothing touching this wall, 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 then what's on the back or at the top is what matters. It also means that I could add more depth and more features than I could do in, say, a Minecraft map. The snag behind doing it this way is that because there are so many limitless blocks, I have to define in the code the fact that a cube is one block type. A stair is a second. A slab that way is a third. Slab this way for, and so forth. That's fine. I mean, that's deliberately why I went down this route. The mathematics behind doing it this way is going to be amazing, because it means that I can focus on the code of the code behind placing the blocks, and I can focus on that. It does mean that it will use more resources to process placing of blocks, but I've taken that into consideration when it comes to my world sizes. I'm going to be loading only 4 chunks of 16 blocks per chunk, which is 256 blocks. In total. And because I'm going to be doing it so that it will de-render the unrender the chunks that aren't used, I should be able to use the calculations to avoid any issues with that kind of thing. The important thing to consider when you're dealing with information you're not quite sure you're going to have, I won't be using enums until I've built all of the different types of block types I would like. This is not the same as the material list. Like, for example, in Minecraft you've got wood, logs, planks, you've got stone, cobblestone, and the rest of it. That's not the same like what I'm saying. I'm saying block types, which is this lot here. Yeah. So in my next video I'm going to be tackling the blocks themselves and getting at least these 4 programmed into the code, and then write an enum, a class to go and grab the type of block that I need for a specific block. I'm going to be using a similar method to how Minecraft does it, using like for example, they've got oak underscore stair, and then they store metadata in brackets in their code. Now, what I'm intending on doing is using strings, so say oak stair, then up, down, left, right. By that I mean a stair like this is down. So like an underneath stair, for example. And you've got like circular staircases, which are going to be a pain, but doable, I think. I'm sorry if I don't shoot myself in the foot. So the reason why I'm doing it, so that every block is of a certain model, you can then pass the material. Say I wanted a chest of drawers. or a desk. Let's do a desk. And I wanted it on legs. I'm not an artist. So I wanted a chest of drawers or a desk. This is a desk, obviously, I think. Yeah, desk. And I wanted the legs to be orange to represent gold or something, and printsy in the panels or something. And I wanted the top to be blue because why not? And such like. Now, if I stored all of this information into like several blocks, I could then pass any material to that chest of drawers. I will just render the blocks based upon where they are, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So I'm sorry this video is in Paint. The next video will be focusing on turning these four block types into code, and I will be able to show you guys the pluses and downsides of doing it this way around. Animating blocks like fountains and things isn't a topic that I'm going to discuss until I need to discuss it, but by doing it this way I could add in those blocks or voxels into my code, whereas if they are always going to be cubes and I want to get rid of some things in that cube, it becomes difficult, and I hope you understand why that is. Anywho, this is Right Escape, and this has been Nostalgic Escapes, and I hope to see you tomorrow on Tuesday.